My name is John Matthews. Most people call me Matt. I was a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army, served in Vietnam from 1966 to 1969. Infantry, small unit patrols, recon missions, Quang Tri Province mostly, up near the DMZ. I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm not here to tell you what was right or wrong. I'm just here to remember. These stories, they don't come in order. They come when they come. Sometimes I'll be sitting here and a name pops into my head, or a sound, or the way the light hits the floor. And suddenly, I'm back there. I don't plan what I'm going to say. I just let it out. Some of these memories are heavy, some are small, but they're all real. I had a squad, good men, Lopez, Cooper, Jenkins, Diaz. We did what we were told, most of the time. Sometimes the orders made sense, sometimes they didn't. And sometimes the order came, but it came too late. I'll tell you about that one soon, but not today. Today, I want to tell you why I'm sitting here, why I'm talking into a camera at 78 years old. Why now? I never talked about Vietnam much. Not to my wife, not to my kids, not even to the guys I served with. We'd see each other at reunions sometimes, stand around, drink a beer, talk about the weather, talk about grandkids. But we didn't talk about that. You'd think we would. You'd think the only people who could understand would be the ones who were there. But it doesn't work like that. When you've seen the same things, you don't need to say them out loud. You just know. A few years back, my wife passed. Cancer. We had 43 years together. Good years. After she was gone, the house got quiet, real quiet. And in that quiet, things started coming back. Names I hadn't thought about in decades. Faces, voices. The smell of the jungle after it rained. The sound of a radio crackling in the middle of the night. I started writing some of it down, just notes on scraps of paper, nothing fancy. My daughter found them one day. She said, "Dad, you should record these." I said, "Nobody wants to hear an old man ramble." She said, "Maybe they do." So, here I am. I grew up in Missouri, small town, the kind of place where everybody knows your name and your business. My father worked at a grain mill. My mother kept the house. I had two brothers. I was the middle one. We didn't have much, but we didn't need much. I graduated high school in 1964. Everybody was talking about Vietnam. Some guys were enlisting. Some were hoping they wouldn't get drafted. I didn't know what I wanted. I thought about college, thought about working at the mill like my dad. But in 1965, my draft notice came. I remember my mother cried. Not in front of me, but I heard her that night in the kitchen. My father didn't say much. He just shook my hand. He'd served in World War II. He knew what it meant. Basic training was at Fort Polk, Louisiana. Hot, miserable. Drill sergeants yelling every second of the day. But I got through it. They put me in infantry, gave me a rifle, and told me I was going to Vietnam. I didn't feel ready. I don't think anybody ever does. We flew out of Travis Air Force Base in California, February 1966. It took forever. We stopped in Hawaii, stopped in the Philippines, then finally Tan Son Nhut Air Base, Saigon. The heat hit you the second you stepped off the plane. And the smell, diesel fuel, sweat, something burning in the distance. They loaded us onto trucks and drove us north. I didn't know where we were going. Nobody told us anything. Just sit down, shut up, and do what you're told. I got assigned to a unit operating out of Quang Tri province, near the DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. Funny name for a place where people were dying every day. That's where I met my squad. Lopez was from Texas. Tough kid. Didn't talk much, but when he did, it mattered. Cooper was the radio operator. Skinny guy. Always had a cigarette in his mouth. Jenkins was older, maybe 25. He'd been in country for 8 months already. He knew the jungle better than anyone. Diaz was the medic. Quiet, serious, carried more weight than any of us because he knew if someone got hit, it was on him. And then there was me. They made me squad leader after about 4 months. I didn't ask for it, but the guy before me got rotated out, and somebody had to step up. Being a squad leader in Vietnam wasn't like being a boss back home. You weren't managing schedules or deciding who worked overtime. You were deciding who walked point, who carried the extra ammo, who stayed back when the rest of the squad moved forward. And sometimes you were deciding who lived and who didn't, even if you didn't know it at the time. I made a lot of decisions over there. Some of them were right, some of them weren't, and some of them I still don't know. Let me tell you about something small, something I haven't thought about in years. It was late '67, November, I think. We'd been out in the bush for 11 days. Wet, tired, boots falling apart. We got pulled back to a forward base for resupply. Nothing fancy, just tents and sandbags. There was this kid in our squad, private named Billy Monroe, 18 years old, blonde hair, freckles. Looked like he should have been working at a gas station back in Ohio. Billy had this habit. Every night, no matter where we were, he'd pull out a little notebook, about the size of your hand, and he'd write one sentence, just one. I asked him once what he was writing. He said, "I'm writing down one thing I saw today that wasn't terrible. One thing. Could have been a bird. Could have been the way the rain stopped for 10 minutes. Could have been the fact that nobody got shot that day. Just one thing." That night at the base, we were sitting outside the tent, smoking, not talking much. Billy pulled out his notebook. I said, "What'd you write today, Monroe?" He looked at me, smiled a little. He said, "Sarge let me sleep an extra 20 minutes this morning." I didn't even remember doing that, but he did. Billy got hit 2 weeks later, took shrapnel in his leg during a mortar attack. They medevaced him out. I never saw him again. I don't know if he kept writing in that notebook. I don't know if he made it home. I don't even know his middle name. But I think about that sometimes. One thing that wasn't terrible. Maybe that's all any of us were trying to do over there. Find one thing that wasn't terrible and hold on to it. I came home in 1969, landed in California, same place I left from, but it didn't feel the same. People looked at you different. Some didn't look at you at all. I went back to Missouri, got a job, got married, had kids. I did what you're supposed to do. But part of me stayed over there, in the jungle, in the rain, with Lopez and Cooper and Jenkins and Diaz, with Billy Monroe and his little notebook. I'm 78 years old now. My knees hurt. My hands shake a little more than they used to. But my memory's still sharp. Too sharp sometimes. I'm not doing this to be a hero. I'm not doing this to get attention. I'm doing this because these stories are still in here. And if I don't get them out, they'll be gone when I am. So I'm going to keep talking about the missions, the men, the choices, the things that went right, and the things that didn't. Some of these stories are going to be hard to hear. They're hard for me to tell, but they're real, and they deserve to be remembered. If you're still listening, thank you. I know there's 1,000 other things you could be doing right now, but you're here, and that means something. I'll be back. There's a lot more to tell. Next time, I'll tell you about the order that came too late and the man we lost because of it. Until then,